I'm Captain Steve Chaconis, and welcome to the National Bass Fishing Show. One of my favorite shallow water crankbaits of all time is Mann's Baby 1-. Used it for decades in my guide business. Personally, I've used it all over the country, anywhere where there's shallow cover, anything like from 4 feet less, grass or wood, doesn't matter what it is, docks, anything. This is a bass killer. It'll catch bass anyway, and it can be used in a lot of different ways. You can burn it, you can slowly crank it in, you could twitch it, you could do everything. You keep the rod tip up and make it as a wake bait. A wonderful bait, especially around grass where you snap it free from the grass, that little hesitation, the fish come out and get it. But that's the good news. The bad news is this Baby 1-, the Baby 1- that we all know and we all love, the Baby 1- from Mann's, can't get it anymore. Oh yeah, you can go to the store and buy one that's got a package that says Mann's Baby 1- on it, but it's not the same. Something happened about maybe 10, 12 years ago. Mann's decided to make their baits in China. And when they did, something must have gotten lost in the translation because the mold changed, and it really changed for the worse. Let's take a look at, this is kind of like an original Baby 1-. This was, towards the end of them making it in the U.S. They made it a little bit different. The colors were different. They had a texture on the body. They started adding red hooks to them, and they still had that little rattle, but they had that nice wide wobble if you wanted it, and if you worked it really fast, it would make a tight wiggle to it. So it was a really good bait. But then the mold changed, and so did the bait. I'm going to show you a couple things that changed about this bait that really changed the way it acts. You can still catch fish with it, but it's totally different. Take a look at this. The red bait is an original Mann's Baby 1-. The Fire Tiger bait is not. It's one of the newer ones. They made the body fatter. You can easily see that. Now, by making it fatter, what does that do? Well, it changes the buoyancy for one. It's got more air in it, so it won't go as deep. It also has like a more sluggish wobble to it than that tight wiggle that you can get with a Baby 1-. So that's the first thing you'll notice. The second thing, if you look at it, the nose of these baits is also different. The nose on the 1-, the red bait, has a little bit more of a point to it. The Fire Tiger bait's a little bit broader. That's what they changed. But the big thing that they changed is the lip. If you'll notice the lips are a little different. The red bait is slightly wider. Slightly wider. What does that do? I'm not sure. I'm not a crankbait designer. But in my hand, this bait does not perform the same as this bait, and I wanted to do that. So I talked to Mann's and I said, hey guys, it's not going as deep. And I found this out because I was fishing with one of my favorite clients and his wife. She was up front with me, and she and I were catching them one after the other, and he's back there whining. He's getting really frustrated because he's not catching them, and his wife is catching them, and he can't figure out what's going on. I said, look, I just gave you a brand new bait. It's got to work. And he goes, mine's not running as deep. And I says, oh, yeah, you just lower your rod. It'll go deeper. But when I was putting the rods away, that's when I started to notice the difference. And then I looked at all the new ones that I got, and I was really disappointed. So I talked to Mann's, and I said, look, you guys got to do something. He said, look, Steve, it costs tens of thousands of dollars to make a mold. And that we can't just throw that mold away. We got to keep using it. But what we can do is we could change the lip. So what they did is they went back and they started putting that same original lip in there. So now when you go to the store, you want to find the one that has the original lip. It's a little wider. You might have to take one with you because you won't be able to measure it. It's like it's almost 1/8 of an inch narrower. But this is the comparison between the two baits. This is the narrow lip. This is the fatter lip. And that'll change the way the baits go. This one's a little bit better. This one's not as good. This one works pretty good if you're going to use it almost as a wake bait somewhere near the surface. So that's the Baby 1-. Those are the differences. You can find them at flea markets. You can find guys that are dumping all their old tackle. When you find one, keep one no matter the color, because you can get someone to paint it for you in whatever pattern that you want, and just look out for it. I like to do a couple things. I do like the red hooks, but I only put a red hook on the belly. I don't put one on the tail. If red hooks really are a focal point for the bass, I don't want that focal point to be on the back of the bait. I want it to be right there on the belly so they'll come up and get it. So I'll make that one red, and then I'll replace this round split ring. I'll replace it with an oval one. These are short shank 4s in the front, short shank 6 in the back. Those are your hooks that you want to use. And you can upgrade to triple grips if you like to do that. The other thing I like to do with all my baits is to paint the bellies orange. I like to paint the bellies orange. I think that bass are usually feeding up, and they'll look up and they'll see that orange belly, and it'll look like the belly of a bluegill or whatever. Also, if a crawfish scoots across above them off a piece of grass or a piece of wood, they can see sometimes the orange from that. Whatever it is something I do. Now, to fish this thing, what you want to do is you want to fish 10-pound test most of the time if you can get away with it. I like using Gamma's 10-pound fluorocarbon. I like that the best. I use fluorocarbon all the time because I'm making long casts and I want to be able to set the hook. I'll go to 12-pound test if I want to keep the bait from going as deep, okay? And I'll use 14-pound test if I'm fishing around real heavy grass and I need to really horse those fish out, but I'll also beef up my rod. Go to a faster reel, make long casts, keep the rod tip down, allows the bait to run as deep as it can. Tie one on, but make sure you find some of those original Mann's Baby 1-. Hey, next time around, we're going to be talking about fishing in the spring, 3 tactics, and we'll do a series on them coming up on the National Bass Fishing Show.